again, and a very warm welcome to Inside TYPO3. In this episode, we'll be taking a look back at TYPO3CON, which took place last month in Dusseldorf, and we're going to be speaking to two attendees to find out about their experiences from the event. But first, let's catch up like we always do with the latest news from the TYPO3 community. This month we had security releases for both TYPO3 12 and 11, with versions 12.4.8 and 11.5.33 being released. We also saw LTS releases with versions 8.7.55, 9.5.44 and 10.4.41 being released in November. To find out more and to access the release notes, head over to get.typo3.org. Next up, it's community extensions. Content Blocks saw its first beta release and is now on version 0.1.4 with support for TYPO3 12 LTS. Front-end editing saw a major release with version 4. Bootstrap Grids also saw a major release with version 3 and now supports TYPO3 version 11. And finally, OpenStreetMap now supports TYPO3 version 12 with its latest release, version 4.2.0. Moving on to events, the TYPO3 GmbH are hosting a community sprint between the 20th and the 24th of November here in Dusseldorf. The Best Practices team are holding a remote sprint on the 27th of November. And as the new year draws closer, T3 Board takes place in Obergurgl, Austria between the 13th and the 20th of January, followed by the TYPO3 marketing team who will be hosting an in-person sprint in Dusseldorf between the 6th and 7th of February. For more information on events, visit typo3.org/community/events. And now a quick message from our first sponsor, the TYPO3 GmbH. The TYPO3 GmbH will be hosting a set of remote training sessions between the 4th and 7th of December. These training sessions will be aimed at individuals who are new to TYPO3, and over the course of the week, we will be exploring a range of topics for beginners. This will include a TYPO3 for Beginners workshop, followed by more advanced topics covering installation, initial setup and configuration best practices, managing extensions, and to finish the week, we'll take a deep dive into templating and building our very own site package. To secure your place and to find out more, contact info@typo3.com. And for my first interview, I sat down with Matt Rains, a developer and technical manager for Praetor Rains, a UK-based TYPO3 agency. Not only was this Matt's first T3CON, but also his first ever TYPO3 event. And in this interview, we find out about his experiences at T3CON, how his organisation will be deploying TYPO3 in next year's UK general election, and we discuss the current state and future of TYPO3 in the UK. Matt Rains, thank you very much for joining me today. I wanted to apologise first of all because I was hoping to be with you at T3CON this year, but unfortunately I decided to catch COVID instead. So I thought I'd get you on the show to find out about some of the cool things you've been doing with TYPO3 and within the community recently.
A shame that you missed it.
Yeah, I know. It's my first ever T3CON as well. I was really disappointed. So jumping right in, this was your very first TYPO3 conference. This was your very first TYPO3 event. And not only that, you were a panel member on one of the sessions as well. So you kind of picked 3 boxes in one go. So how did it go for you generally?
Yeah, I like to jump in with both feet. Yeah, I was invited to join a panel debate about open source and government and digital sovereignty. I mean, it wasn't much of a debate, to be honest. I think everyone agreed that open source was the best choice for government projects. But yeah, the last time I gave a talk actually was at a user group, I think in about 2015. And it was a lightning thing about how we used to have an accounts manager, but we replaced our accounts manager with like online software and a load of APIs and PHP scripts and a machine you put a check in and it goes whir. And I thought it was a really funny talk, but it was really badly received. So I have to tell you, I was a bit anxious about this session, but I needn't have been. The compare Frank was really good, and the other panelists were really knowledgeable and welcoming. It all went fine.
I guess the overarching talk was about how organizations, particularly in the public sector, should be kind of using open source more, and how they have an obligation to taxpayers to kind of procure things that are reusable and accessible. Is that kind of the general gist of it?
I think that's a key thing for me. It's an imperative, I think, that if government is funded by the public and they've got an opportunity to give back to the local economy by choosing open source, they can build a community of technically skilled workers. that's got to be a decision worth making. I mean, I didn't talk very much in the session. It was a 45-minute thing with two other panelists, and I think the largely local audience was quite keen to hear from the German speakers about the moves over there to use TYPO3 across all of the municipal websites. But what I tried to get across is that sort of my key reasons for choosing open source: you've got better access to your data, to do interesting things with it. There's no restriction on how and where you host it. So we can keep all our data in the United Kingdom. TYPO3 just wants us to have a web server and a database server. It doesn't care beyond that where we put it. Our customers have got rights over the code, so they can't lose access to the system just because a license changes or a business fails. It saves money because you're spending all of your budget on bespoke features. And the key thing, and what this was sort of beaten back into my brain again at T3CON, is that the open source community will really make your developers happy people. It was a great event to be at, and actually I particularly enjoyed a Rhine-Ruhr user group event I went to the night before the conference actually started proper, which was sort of a balls up night where everybody was telling stories about website builds that had gone wrong. I'm sworn to secrecy, but there was a real sense of like old friends getting together and people meeting new people, and it went to the heart of what I think is important, the sort of warmth of the open source community, the willingness of people to, they're working for competing companies, but because they're working with open source, I think there's a sense of openness and of sharing online and at these events. You're not competing for the same contracts, you're more wanting to share your experience and your code and grow the whole market. So that was really positive, I thought.
And one of the things I like about those kind of conversations is these kind of battle horror stories we've all kind of encountered in our professional lives. These are the kind of things you typically can't really tell your friends or your family because they don't really understand or care. But I find when you're in this kind of environment, you can tell these stories to colleagues and people at the events, and they can relate to those stories as well because they've been through it.
I'd experienced that before with PHP when we started with that many years ago. And it was really easy to get started. There's excellent online documentation, but the community was more. The local user group in London where I was working then really enthused me in my early days as a developer. And then you can give back. In my case, it was sort of organising those events and the PHP UK conferences and things. But some people give code back and all sorts of things. But everybody I've met along that route has been sort of inclusive and welcoming, excited about what they get to do for a living. So yeah, it's nice, as you say, to share that excitement with other people who get it.
So I wanted to move on and talk a little bit about the work you do at your agency, which is TY3CON, which I'm very pleased to announce is a UK agency that's using TYPO3. The general election almost certainly going to be held in the UK next year, and you're working with the Liberal Democrats, who are the third largest party in the UK. So I just wanted to find out a little bit about how you're going to be using TYPO3 with them.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're fairly new to TYPO. We've been making web applications for a long time, but we chose TYPO3 for this big project, which was a multi-site install. So they've got about 300 websites around the UK in 2 different languages, including the obviously federal large website. We've been working with it for about 18 months, and we've been impressed. The platform is really solid. It performs really well compared to other things we've worked with in the past. It's a bit of a weird setup, actually. We use TYPO3 as the front end for all the websites, but the back end data is actually sent to systems that the client already trusted.
Okay.
So it's a really dependable website platform, but the Lib Dems sort of took the rebuild as an opportunity to consolidate their member data into Salesforce and their campaign data into another product. So we are feeding back-end users and information out of one and end user information into the other, sort of using API calls. And TYPO itself is relatively clean, but that means it performs really well and they've got the data where they want it. Previously, it was in lots of different systems, some built by us, some WordPress, a bunch of nation builder websites.
I see.
So I think whether it's TYPO3 or something else that best fits a project, it sort of depends on the customer's needs. And in this case, it needed to fit around the Lib Dem's federal structure. So there's many hundreds of stakeholders. And TYPO3 seemed a really good fit for that because, well, for one thing, it doesn't rely on loads of extensions or plugins to do as much core functionality as the alternatives we looked at. So we're not stuck being the person in the middle, sort of managing hundreds of requests for third-party plugins from different organizations around the country and how they interact with each other and what to do when they stop being supported. So I think that's worked really well. It also obviously includes incredibly long-term support, I think, when compared to other open source products. So it feels a bit best of both worlds for us. And we knew from our research, it was widely used in sort of government and institutional sites across Europe, which meant it was well tested for this sort of project. But if we build other things, we're looking at other projects that TYPO3 would work well for, but we're also still using WordPress and Symfony, and it's just what best suits the requirements, really.
So I'm assuming you've got a number of site packages with possibly news as well and any other extensions, or is it just a vanilla TYPO3?
Yeah, we're using the news extension. I think largely, apart from that, it's core stuff and bespoke things we've added. I think we built quite a cool component actually for embedding content from other websites. So it sort of uses OEmbed, or you can have a sort of custom handler for each website, and it interacts well with cookie control. That's the other off-the-shelf plugin we've got.
I can sense a talk for T3CON next year or TYPO3 Developer Days already. I can feel a talk coming on from this already.
I think I'd like to. I mean, at the moment, it's in the site package. I'd like to see whether we can unbundle that and release it back to the community. I think that would be quite cool.
So it seems like you've been really happy using TYPO3 for this project. In terms of feedback of things you'd like to see change or improve, are there any big areas you'd like to see tackled?
Yeah, I think there's not much, but if I was forced to say something negative, then it was a pretty steep learning curve getting started. I think that the finding documentation that's written in English was a challenge. We don't speak German, although we're doing our best to learn a little bit. I think if I'd been aware of events like the Developer Days and the conference earlier on, that would have helped. And obviously there's the Slack channel that we've now joined where people can ask for help. But yeah, sort of easing that learning curve would be a really, really good thing. And maybe as it becomes more popular in the United Kingdom, there'll be more people over here to talk to about things. Maybe we can get a user group together at some point.
Thank you. I guess my final question was, if people want to get in touch with you or kind of find out a bit more, what's the best way to get hold of you?
Yeah, you can take a look at our website, which is praetorrange.co.uk. Maybe that's quite difficult to spell. There's an E in my name, but you'll find it if you Google for us or look at one of the LibDem websites.
Oh, I'll pop in the show notes as well. So yeah,
I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Excellent. Matt Rains, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm really happy to have you on. I'm so chuffed to get a TYPO3 UK agency on here as well. It's a big win for me personally. So thank you for your time and good luck, and let us know. And hopefully we'll see you at the Developer Days next year. And now for a quick message from our second sponsor, MaxServe. MaxServe specialise in developing multi-site and e-commerce platforms using open source software. With over 10 years of experience, MaxServe has established itself as a reliable partner for large organisations that require a fully functional and dependable online presence. In addition to their expertise in developing multi-sites and e-commerce platforms, MaxServe also offers hosting, consulting, design and development services. They have been involved in the TYPO3 community for many years and are a full-service TYPO3 agency. For more information, visit maxserve.com. Next up is our second guest and winner of this year's TYPO3 Personality of the Year Award, Abdulhamid. Abdulhamid, thank you very much for joining me today. I'm not sure what the weather's like where you are, but I hope everything is well with you. It's lovely to speak to you again. I think the last time we spoke was back in April or May at the General Assembly. How are you? How's things been?
Thank you for having me here in this podcast. Yeah, everything is going well.
It's really good to hear. So I've got quite a few questions to ask you. I think you've had quite a busy year by the looks of things. I wanted to start off with the translation work you've done for TYPO3's backend and translating everything over into Arabic, which I imagine is quite a big task to undertake on your own. So stepping back a little bit, I'm assuming at the point where you started using TYPO3 for the first time, there was no support at all for Arabic in the back end?
Yes, it was no Arabic content at all. It's TYPO3. And since I started in 2018, starting with the company Early Bird, I looked to that needs that I should do it, because in 2018, I could not speak the German language that good. And, I'm living in Vienna, and like, as any person who lives in Vienna, he should speak in German. And based on my German level in that time, I could not learn that much in that language about TYPO3. So I started to think about how about the others, other Arab speakers, developers who are facing the same issue, and how we could solve it together. So that started to think about it in 2019, 2020. After the COVID came, I came to the idea, hey, we should start to do something, translating the panel, translating the documentation. And I can remember in 2019, as I was in Holland, and in the award of TYPO3, and I talked with one of the board teams. He said to me, I talked to him about the idea and about how we can do that, and he totally supported me. And I quote what he said in German and translated to English. He said to me, "Hey, Hamid, this is the shit work you are gonna to do it." He means like it's hard work. It's something like totally hard to do it. But I accepted the challenge that time because, first of all, I wanted to do that, and secondly, I saw that need and I had to do that. So in September 2020, after I came back, we started a TYPO3 Arabic page on a Facebook. We mentioned, I tried to reach other Arab speakers, developers who are living in Germany and Austria and in Europe at all, and try to do some posting about TYPO3 in Arabic. In the same time, I started with the crowding tool, which is the official tool to translate the backend panel of TYPO3. And of course, in the beginning, I faced many problems with the Arabic words and some translations, the suggestions I became for the words, which word we should use as a translation for the other words. Of course, if you are talking about English, it's the language of technical stuff. It's the language of programming. So it was a little bit hard to translate some of the words to Arabic. And I needed, of course, to look to other systems and the CMS like WordPress and Joomla to know how they translated their panel, because they are much better in that, they have already their own Arabic community. So, so this is issues and challenges I faced in 2020, 2021. But after that, the work was about just translating and continually finishing this project. Last month, I think I posted, I was like totally happy to finish this 100% of translating the backend panel in all of the versions. Like we have right now TYPO3 9, version 9, 10, 11, and 12, which is fully translated in Arabic. And after I posted that post in the Slack channel and told the TYPO3 community, hey there, I'm really glad to share my happiness with you that I finished this job. So
That's incredible. It really is. So how many words in total have you translated to Arabic? And was your base language German to Arabic, or was it English to Arabic from your perspective?
It was a translating English to Arabic. Passed on crowding analytics, it was like around 70,000 words.
Wow.
And we are talking about different kind of word. of words. Like there is words which is very heavy to translate. Like crowding also calculates a words which is coming from two words and calculating this as a one word. So it was around like 70,000.
So from a technical perspective, was it just a case of creating and adding new translation files? Or were there any changes that needed to be made to TYPO3's core to support Arabic characters?
Yes, of course, we needed to do it to do a technical changes because, as you know, Arabic language written from the right side to the left side. So it's totally different than the other Latin languages, which is written from the left to right. So that was also a challenge. We are not finished by the version 12, like almost it's finished. But we did it, like with the help of some of the core members of TYPO3 board. We could change also the classes and some of the styles of the backend panel, just to make sure that when you are selecting Arabic language, the panel will mirror itself. Like it will change. Like for example, the module list will be on the right side, and the tree and the page tree will be after it, starting from the right side to the left. So everything should change, and technically should work on styling this, or let me say restyling that. But yeah, also a point I want to mention, I think this work was really important for the TYPO3 itself, because we have more than 17 languages in the world written from right to left. So it's not only about do that for the Arabic language, it's about doing that for the other cultures and other languages also, which is make it easier for them.
So anybody who has a language that's written or read from right to left, because of the work you've done in adding support for Arabic, I'm assuming their job is going to be a little bit easier if they want to add their translations into TYPO3 now as well. Then.
Exactly. So their job right now to translate the backend panel into their language, and then just defining or telling the TYPO3 core team that this language is supporting right to left. So and the job will done.
So let's move on to TYPO3CON, which took place, I think, a month ago from the point where we're recording today. You were the recipient of the Personality of the Year award, which must have been a real honor to receive. My first question is, did you know you were nominated? Did you have any idea that this was around the corner?
Totally not. I was invited from my company just to go because we were like nominated for 2 prizes, and I totally had no idea about it. Also, there is in the first day, like before that night, I met some people who tried to not talk to me, and it was really totally weird for me. Like about, what about Tom? He don't want to talk with me or what? And after the award, they came to me and they hugged me a lot and very deeply and with powerful. And they said, "We are so sorry, but we could not keep the secret if we are talking to you." So, they know already about the prize, and they could not like just keep it as a secret until that night. Because of that, they did not went to me and talk to me that much. But it was totally surprised. Yeah. So it was it was an amazing conference.
Excellent. So I think it's time to wrap up. If people want to get in touch with you, or they want to get involved with some of the translation work, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes, if you are listening to me and you speak Arabic, please you can connect me via Slack, which is the official channel. I'm there. There is also a group channels you can join. If you want also to touch in a Facebook, we have our page like TYPO3 Arabic. It's the official page of this project. And I'm aiming also to open another channels in a different social media platforms. But if you also want to connect me, the Slack, my email address, just write my name. You can find a lot of channels we can connect with, and I am happy for that.
Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Hopefully, I'll see you sometime next year, possibly at TYPO3 Camp Vienna or somewhere else. So until then, thank you ever so much for joining me, and I'll see you again.
Thank you so much for hosting me, and thank you for this nice conversation.
And that's it for this month's episode. Thank you again for listening. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please reach out to us at podcast@typo3.com. And until next time, take care.